We find ourselves in Boston, Massachusetts, and in one of the parts of town where there are these winding roads, uh, like in so many roads in Boston, the exact opposite of Manhattan. Nothing grid-like about Boston at all. There's this one part of Boston that's a little difficult to get to, almost hidden. And at the end of this little road is a place called Bloodstone Curios. And the camera pans down on Bloodstone Curios. Very old looking shop, the kind of place that hasn't attempted to update its appearance over the last couple hundred years. And as we zoom in, we see one of the Bloodstone family members themselves preparing for a big day. So, Fish, why don't you tell us a little bit about who we see and what they might be doing on this day?
Yeah, Cullen Bloodstone. He's a relatively tall Caucasian male, blonde hair, dark hair on the sides, and he kind of dresses in relatively like elitist attire. So, like a creature collared sort of shirt with and something like sort of swanky and uptight, as if he's getting ready to go riding out on horseback or something like that. He's just sort of dusting some things here and there, and might hand something off to a servant and wish them away or something like that. Polishing, a glass jar with eyeballs in it, something like that. And sort of smiling at it and then moving on to something more, some other object within the shop to get things prepared, polishing a table, that sort of thing.
Sounds good. And today happens to be a very busy day at Bloodstone Curios. There are more people in attendance than on an average day, more of the servants you spoke of tending to folks, greeting them as they come in the door. And one such individual, um, Vann, why don't you tell us a little bit about Connor?
Connor comes in and immediately looks out of place, especially compared to Cullen and the antiquities around here. Very much blue collar, very much, he's wearing obviously worn jeans, well worn, well broken in work boots, a simple jacket, maybe military, but it's not like fatigues, but it's just a basic work jacket. Nothing special in terms of his his clothing. Very much blue collar worker clothing. Not clean shaven. Definitely a few days of 5 o'clock shadow. Kind of a rough face. If anybody's familiar with the TV show Jack Reacher, that's basically the template I'm pulling from this. Could be intimidating, but is kind of quiet just from the perspective that he's not trying to be bullyish. Um, and he starts looking around. Um, you might notice as he's looking around that he's not just using his eyes. There's you might occasionally like catch a a little sniff here and there. Um, but yeah, it's kind of keeps to himself, relatively quiet. But looks like I said, a relatively big guy, blue collar. Um, Nothing inherently dangerous about him, but definitely somebody that like you visually you wouldn't want to necessarily have angry at you.
And he's built like Alan Richton.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing intimidating at all.
Well, I mean, when you look at his character, even in that show, he's very polite. He's very polite. He's very calm. He's very quietly spoken until he needs to not be.
Usually gives a warning or two, like you might not want to
Yeah,
do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's an air of like confidence, confidence or assurance of like he's not really worried about anybody in the shop. worried about anybody. So he's going to walk around. You know what? Appropriate metaphor. He's got the big dog energy as opposed to little dog energy. Little dog energies are yappy and like got to be in your face and really aggressive, and big dogs are just like, this is what's going to happen, and like, they're going to walk where they want. So
Nice. Okay, so as you walk in and kind of look around, one of the gentlemen at the door, straight dark hair, gives you a pamphlet that has some information about the day. So it's a combination of an open house where there are several experts here. This place also has a museum aspect to it, and there's often individuals that might be giving talks on certain matters. So there's a few individuals that are here giving some talks, certain experts, promised opportunity to have one-on-one time. But another thing that's going to be happening at some point today is an estate sale. And on part of the pamphlet, it does mention a a uh, a local somebody you've never heard of before, but somebody that purported to have great ties uh, to the area's ancient history of magic, claiming to going back to the Salem witch trials. And this person passed away. Nobody in the family wanted anything to do with this stuff. And so what they did is they contacted the museum to look over the stuff and get the best price. And so that is one of the things that's happening today. So some of the people you might see here walking around do look like wealthy individuals that are perhaps waiting for that part of the day to begin. And then there's other, probably just some folks in town, just tourists looking for a laugh. This might have been on a map of attractions somewhere to make sure you stop by at the Bloodstone Curio Shop. So very, very interesting mix of people. Speaking of which, Grem, you walk into the shop in the shadow of a very large man that just moved off to the side. So you can see now. Why don't you describe your character and what they might be doing here?
Yeah, so he walks in. He's wearing a blue suit, light pink shirt, and a dark rose colored tie, and a pink rose on his lapel. He's got wavy blonde hair, blue eyes, a cherubic face. And he walks in and immediately looks around. He's thinking, he looks around and he's maybe in a way that he's kind of hoping someone might recognize him. No one seems to, probably in this crowd. He might realize this might be the kind of crowd that is either trying to stay low or isn't his audience. But Alder is someone that doesn't mind some attention as he strides in. Yeah, so
Same thing. Guy comes up, gives you a pamphlet, gestures to the area, and doesn't seem to be fawning upon you or granting you that audience. Just hands it to you, nods, and starts to move off.
thank you.
Oh, of course. And finally, Jen, tell us a little something about your character as you're the final one to walk into what's now a fairly crowded room.
All right. Well, she's a petite blonde woman. You can tell that she's got some money by the way she's dressed, but you can't tell exactly what age she is because she kind of has this energy about her that's more like a teenager, but then a bearing that is much older. And she kind of gives off this air like everybody should already know who she is, but she's willing to introduce herself and say, "Hi, I'm Jackie." So if you don't know who she is, she'll gladly come right up and introduce herself to you. She just a person who, if you look away, she's suddenly in a different spot and you didn't even notice her move kind of person.
Okay.
Um would I recognize Jack?
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out and I did not find any direct connections, but it's really possible that you might figure out who I am by the accent, and my introduction is Jackie. I don't know.
Mhm.
All right, let's say this. Let's say the gentleman with the long black hair approaches you as he has everyone else as you come in.
Mhm.
He's running a little low on pamphlets. Maybe he had to go grab another one from the back somewhere, and hands one over to you. Oh, apologies, I missed you. Here's a pamphlet for the day's goings on.
All right, thank you. And I plod through and point to something on there and say, do you know what time that might come up? Do you have a good idea of how the flow is going to go?
Of course, yes. So that'll be in about 3 hours from now. We're going to have a couple of talks throughout the day, and then the culmination will be the estate sale in the early afternoon.
Okay,
Say about 4 o'clock.
excellent. Thank you.
Very good. And okay. Yeah, if you guys want to mingle, Fish, Jen, up to the two of you, if you think you might have a connection enough to sort of introduce yourselves.
Sure. Yeah, I kind of mingle around. I just kind of walk around and observe everyone as if I owned the place. So I will casually introduce myself to everyone. I suppose I'll start with Miss Farnsworth, and I'll be like, welcome to Bloodstone Curios. I am Cullen Bloodstone.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I think I heard about you from your mother.
You know my mother, Elise. You are
Jacqueline Fallsworth Crichton.
Fallsworth. Yes, I do believe I remember the Fallsworths from my mother. My mother has told me some stories. So please enjoy your time.
It is so wonderful to meet you. And a lovely shop you've got here.
Oh, thank you so much. We do try.
Yeah.
So, and then I will probably go on and introduce myself to everyone else as well.
Okay, so let's say you go over to Grem. He's the closest at this point.
I'll immediately kick on my before you can even say anything. Put up my hand, say hi. I'm Alder Ackerman. I don't suppose you know where, if you might be able to point out for me, who the proprietor of this shop is.
Well, that would be me. I am Cullen Bloodstone. Welcome to the shop. Did you say what did you say your name was?
Alder Ackerman.
Alder Ackerman. I'm not sure that I've heard of you. What brings you to the shop this evening?
The church. Have you heard of the Church of the Rose?
Have I heard of the Church of the Rose?
You don't have to have heard of the Church of the Rose.
You could make a logic check.
Yeah, of course I've heard of the church.
Or you could just say yes.
Wonderful things coming out of the Church of the Rose. How has the church business been these days, Reverend?
You can see him kind of like his eyes look to the side a little bit, and he considers and says, "Not as good as it used to be."
Not too much money in God these days, eh?
He laughs nervously. He says, "I would love, once the events are over, I would love a consultation with you, Mr. Cullen, Mr. Bloodstone."
Of course, absolutely. So, side note: Cullen thinks he's flirting.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think everyone Alder talks to probably thinks he's flirting with them. A good time to mention, I forgot a physical descriptor. Alder has a birthmark, a dark pink birthmark that goes up his neck and into his face a little bit.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, so absolutely. I would love to, once the business of the day is done, please stay around afterwards and we'll set up some time to have a discussion.
I am so looking forward to our discussion, Mr. Bloodstone.
As am I. So, and then I move on to to the large to the large man who doesn't look like he belongs here at all.
We'll say as this conversation is happening, uh, Connor, your direction is pulled towards a door on the far side of the room, and about 2 seconds later, in Fish, we can say that Cullen notices this. About 2 seconds later, you see a charcuterie board then come in, and be put down. We'll say in your general direction. The person who puts it down, nods to you, Cullen, says, "Sir," and then moves off. And yeah, the two of you find yourself next to one another at this time.
Cool. Do try the blood sausage. It is delightful.
All right, and right now he's speaking to me, correct?
Yes, yes.
I'm not really hungry right now, but I have to say your shop here is very entertaining. The tour guide is absolutely correct about that. It shouldn't be missed. You've got a lot of entertaining trinkets and souvenirs here. I'm curious. I've got a niece that's into I think some of the moon magic, and I'm not really certain exactly what she is, but she likes everything sort of like moon related. Do you have anything that would be that I might be able to pick up for her as a souvenir?
Do I mean, I don't have the best logic or ego in the world, but oh no, maybe this is I don't have anything good anyway. But I'm just wondering if I sense that he's saying something like that he's being a bit cagey.
Yeah, go ahead. If you want, go ahead and make
Sure.
an ego check. I don't know that we really need to make it you know what? Let's make it an opposed one. Why not? Both of you make an ego check, and we'll see who comes up on top.
Okay. I rolled
And
a
to be
50.
clear, that is non-combat check for ego, right?
Non-combat check for ego, correct.
Cool.
I rolled a
I
50.
I rolled a 12.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll say, Cullen, you're acquainted with individuals that maybe not out of malice, but usually might be a little embarrassed to ask a question or something like that. So you've heard friend of mine has brought this up
Mhm.
before.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're familiar with that level of caginess.
Yeah, those moon objects can be a bit hairy to track down. But if you stick around after all this is done, we'll see if we can help you find something. If we don't have something that piques your interest here, perhaps we can direct you to someone who can help you.
Sounds great. And looks like you've got a full day planned of you know talks.
Yes, and in the meantime, there's champagne. And he takes a glass as someone wants.
I think Spitfire already has a glass and you never saw her get it.
He takes 2 glasses and hands one to you.
Right. And Fish, I know you had
Cool.
mentioned evening before, but at this point it's still afternoon.
Mhm.
No reason you couldn't have champagne in the afternoon. I'm just saying it's not evening yet.
Day drinking, guilty.
Yes. Okay, great. So you guys have an opportunity to either look at some of the curios. You don't have to sit. We'll say there's a separate side room where some of the talks are taking place.
Mhm.
Very I would say very detailed in very narrow in focus topics for individuals that probably have made a study of certain areas. And you can see there's a number of older looking academic types that are sitting at the front of a couple of these rooms. Maybe there's some little handouts as well, and you notice some people take a look at them, and I think it's like in another language because much of it is in Latin and German and French and various other languages that there's sort of like an expectation maybe that some people would know. So those people just kind of move off to the museum area. Just out of curiosity, where would each character feel like they would gravitate towards, either the more academic area or the more public curio shop for the average layperson?
I think my character is gonna make, basically a full round of both areas,
Okay.
scanning and checking out everything.
Graham?
Yeah, Alder is his charisma and his good looks, his charm, mask very little underneath. He does not have the intellectual capacity for the intellectual track, so he's going to go to the more layman's area.
Okay. Jen?
I would follow the academics, smile brilliantly, take in everything they're saying,
Sounds
act
good.
like I don't understand a word, but pack it all the way back here.
And Fish, what's Colin going to be doing?
Yeah, I think I am mostly just seeing if anyone, like, I'm observing people, seeing if anyone is acting suspicious in any way, or or because my main concern is the security of the entire event, and
Mhm.
making sure that everyone is having a good time, and that the items that are up for auction are getting sold, when that time comes, or what have you. So
Okay. So one thing that happens, Colin, the individual at the front who works for you by the name of Charles Barnabas
mhm.
approaches you. He was the one who was handing out the pamphlets to people and was generally checking on people. And he comes up to you, goes, "Sir, um, I'm I'm not feeling well. Um, I think I need to remove myself. Um, I'll be fine, but I'm I'm just not quite feeling myself right now."
I mean, I would be aware.
Of course.
Mm.
Yes. And then he just sort of swallows a little bit. Excuse me.
Yes, you look like you probably need to go.
Yeah. And he goes through, there's a little, you know, servant's entrance. And there might be some like secret passages in this place. The whole curio shop is a curiosity in and of itself. So there's little ways he can get to wherever he needs
Yes,
to go.
yes.
Um, and it's only a moment or two after that you can see visibly this the skies darken a little bit outside,
Hmm.
um, to the point of um, we'll say maybe it's not so noticeable in Jen, the room where Jackie's at, because there's a projector on in that room and there's some fascinating slides being shown. You do hear what you think is a little bit of snoring somewhere behind you. Um, but in the main room, which was already kind of dimly lit to begin with, uh, it got considerably darker. Like a big storm cloud just kind of came in, like rapidly.
Okay. I I look around just quickly first to see if anyone else is behaving in any sort of strange manner in my immediate sight line.
Okay, give me a, vigilance check. We'll call it target number 12.
This is in the academic room.
No, well, yeah, No, I think this would be outside in the main area because that's
All
where
right, this is in the main. This is in
the
the main.
darkness would have been more noticeable.
And I got a 15.
Okay, great. Yeah, so you're glancing around. You see a couple people bring up their phones and start checking weather apps to see. I didn't think it was gonna rain today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, Another beat passes. Somebody, uh, you hear buzz. Somebody's phone goes off, and you hear a what? I I can't. Is that script? I can't talk yet. Hold on a second. And they go towards the front door, but you don't notice anyone in here doing anything that you would consider abnormal.
Hmm. But from what I can, do I get the sense that what's happening, that what is happening outside is abnormal? Like does it look like it's just dark because it's getting ready to rain all of a sudden, or does it look like something is amiss?
I would say it's difficult to tell from inside. I mean, but it certainly looks like if it was storm clouds coming in, they really came in like maybe like a hurricane or some sort of natural weather event could do something like this, like really fast winds coming in, really blowing something in heavy. But you
Um,
didn't hear anything out of the ordinary with that check.
I think I'm a bit concerned about having all of these people getting stuck in here,
Mhm.
and I would like to get them all out as quickly as possible
Okay.
and close up shop. So I think I will is Adam around?
Sure. We'll say he's not in the room, but you could text him or
Sure. And I'll just say, I think we should postpone the rest of the events for today and we should send everyone home.
okay, great.
Uh,
So you start texting him. Do you just want to text him to come up, or do you want to text him that whole all those directions?
sure, the latter.
Okay, all right. So you start texting, hit send. It's not going through. Just
Okay.
pausing. And at that moment, the person that you heard previously that had said, that was talking to somebody, I can't hear you. Let me go outside. Or I can't talk in here. Let me go outside. You hear a scream coming from the front door, like a scream, the prototypical blood curdling scream.
Okay. I okay. So I hear the scream.
Hmm.
Rather than turn to look at exactly what's going on, I immediately walk back over behind the main counter, reach
Hmm.
underneath the counter, and grab my gun.
Sounds good. Let's roll initiative. Again, initiative on your character sheets is in the upper right. If you have an E next to that, that means you get an edge, which means you can choose to re-roll one of those dice. Something to keep in mind is that you don't always want to use an edge to re-roll the lowest number. Sometimes you do. If you were trying to hit a certain target number, like in combat, I might say if you're attacking somebody, you need to hit and you're using a range weapon, I will tell you, okay, the TN target number that you're trying to hit is a 14. So you will know when you roll your 3d6, your d616, you will know if you hit or not before you get to apply an edge if you have an edge. So in that case, rather than using your edge, which allows you to reroll a number and always use the higher number, you might choose to re-roll a 5 on your Marvel die because the Marvel die, if you get a M on that, which is a 1 if you're using a regular die, or an Marvel if you're using the app, or if you have specially branded the official Marvel dice, that will give you a fantastic success. So just to talk through that one more time. If I say target numbers 14 and you roll a 15 and it's a 555, or even better, let's say uh, a 4, 5, 6, right? Some people might say, oh, if I get to reroll a die, let me reroll the 4 so I get a higher number. Well, there's no difference if you exceed the target number by 1 or 3 or by 100. All of that is the same level of success. The only way to get a better level of success is to exceed the number and get a marvel on the marvel die. When that happens, fantastic success. A couple of things can happen. If it's in combat, you do double damage. There's always an opportunity for a yes and moment if you want something special to happen. That's when I'm all ears. Let's see what narratively works. In initiative, if you get a marvel on the marvel die, you take part in what's called a bonus round, which means everyone who gets a marvel acts in the bonus round in order, and then it's round 1 of combat when everyone goes again. All that makes sense?
Yep.
All right.
Thanks.
Let's roll initiative. Let me know what you get, and let me know if you get any marvels. Jen, what did you?
I got an 11.
11. Okay. Grem.
Well, I do have an edge.
Nice.
So I guess I could either re-roll the middle one, which is a 5 to hope I get a marvel, or the 3 to hope I get just a higher initiative roll.
And there's no bad answer to that.
I think because of this situation and because of who Alder is, I think he's not gonna go for that surprise round.
Okay.
He is gonna I'm gonna re-roll a 3.
Cool.
And I got a 6. So 17 is my result thanks to that edge.
Right. Cool. All right, Colin.
Oh, I got a 10.
Okay. All right. So Alder, you go first.
All right. So
You haven't seen anything yet. The front door is closed.
Okay.
You've heard a scream. It's dark. But we'll say at this point you do everyone also hears some signs of a struggle, a scuffle of some kind. There is clearly something happening.
And I have seen Cullen go behind the counter.
You have.
Okay. Alder is going to also run towards that counter, behind the counter.
Okay.
Maybe in a bit of a protective, I'm taking cover stance. And tell Cullen, hi, Mr. Bloodstone, I have every confidence that you are going to be able to protect us from whatever is going on. And in saying this, he's using inspiration, which inspires an ally in earshot. The ally gains an edge on all action checks until the start of my next turn.
That's great.
Okay.
Okay, so keep that in mind. All action checks. Very good.
Cool.
Next. The doors burst open on 15. And there are 3 figures there. One of whom is holding the woman that had just walked through, holding her body that had walked out the door, kind of dragging her in a little bit. As the doors open, you can see behind them is darkness at this point. Looks like night outside. The one figure that was holding this woman who was on the phone drops her with a thud. Everybody can see as her neck rolls over. She has 2 punctures. Her throat is ripped. And the individual, then when you look up at their face, has got blood all over his face. The other person is a woman, and as she looks up, she opens her mouth, laughing, and you can see she's got 2 pointed fangs. I'm going to say anyone but Spitfire here. So I'm going to say 1, 2 for Cullen, 3, 4 for Graham, 5, 6 for Connor, and it was a 6. So Connor, the woman, if we can call her that, looks at you, and you can feel her digging into your mind. a little bit. What this is she is attempting to form a telepathic link with you. So she's going to make a logic check against your vigilance defense.
Vigilance defense score is 11.
She does hit an 11, so just barely hits your defense, worms in, and just begins whispering in your ear, a little seductively. Come on, big boy. You don't want to fight me. We can have a good time. And as she is kind of doing this, the other male vampire who dropped his prey is going to make his way towards the counter.
Hmm.
And now we're going to say we've got I'm going to say because the Rose Pastor has decided to say he's going to kind of be defensively behind him, there's a greater chance this vampire will go after Cullen. I'm going to say 1 to 4 and a D6. Cullen, 5 to 6. Graham, they're going to be going after Alder.
Yeah, cowardice coming in handy.
A 2.
Okay, so
So
me.
So this individual is going to go for you. Now, where you're situated, describe to me how you're situated. You're behind the counter.
Yeah, so I'm imagining like a large like oak counter, right? And then behind there is like built-ins with a bunch of like curiosities or whatever, like the kind of stuff that we don't really care to have. Like what happens to it? It's just out there on display, and maybe there's like a cash register or like a tablet, so you can do like square payments and that sort of shit, right? So so it's basically like a concierge-y looking service desk.
Okay. So I'm going to say they have
There's a
trouble
giant oak
against you.
desk between us.
Yep. So what they're going to get is trouble, and just uh, in all interactions,
Yes.
feel free to either mention or ask if something's in the room. With theater of the mind, we don't have a map that we can look at. So if in your imagination of this scene, you have any questions about what might be around, what you can interact with, just feel free to ask, right? We're obviously all imagining different layers of detail here, but yeah, so great. Because of that direction that you gave there, Fish, absolutely, I'm going to have him attack. Now he's just going to attack with like a claw. He's just going to like go for your throat.
Okay.
Oh, shitballs. All right.
What did you roll?
He rolled a 656. So
Hmm.
I will re-roll the 6. That takes it down to a 2. Okay, good. So that is still a 15.
A 15
though,
versus my what? My resilience
versus your melee. So
versus my.
this is a melee attack against your melee defense.
Oh, I mean, he totally hit.
Yes, that's still gonna hit. Yeah. This was we'll say he like an animal almost like leaps over with his front claws, digs into the counter,
Okay.
lifts his whole body up so the legs come flying over, and then as he's landing behind the counter right next to you with
Hmm.
the with Alder on the other side, that's when he comes down with a claw and rakes you with it.
Okay.
So now you have sturdy,
I did.
correct?
I have 31. Yes.
Okay,
That gives me damage reduction 1.
correct. His damage die was a 5. Normally for melee, he's a 5 times 3 plus 2. Now
Hmm.
he's going to be a 5 times 2 plus 2. So I take the multiplier and I reduce it by 1.
Okay.
So 5 times 2 plus 2 is 12 points of health damage to you.
Okay. 1.
And he takes the opportunity to almost gleefully kind of shake his head a little bit. He's still got the blood of the other woman on his face, and he kind of shakes his mouth and his tongue so that he sort of splatters you a little bit with the blood.
Okay.
So that was on 15 with these two vampires. On 11, Jen, you were in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously hear what's going on. It's loud enough. The room is pretty quiet. The speaker. Hold on a second. Let me just. Well, I'm gonna roll a vigilance check for this old guy up there. All right. I was gonna say maybe he just keeps droning on for the entire fight. Yeah, we're gonna say he's just droning on. Other people are like, what? His eyes are down. He's just reading. He's clicking through slides. He's completely oblivious. But you absolutely hear what's going on in the other room.
Oh yeah. And the first thing I did was drain the rest of my champagne glass.
Nice.
You don't waste no champagne.
No.
That's right.
I guess I would try to look and see whether there is a way that we can blockade the door so that whatever is happening out in the main room is not going to get in here. So, is there a
Yeah.
table perhaps that I could slide against the door or something like that?
Yeah, not on the inside, but maybe on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
There is something you can drag in place there to protect those people inside.
So perhaps I might be able to get outside, shut the door, and then drag a table across it. Are you thinking?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've got, it says my run speed is 10. I
Mhm.
have super fast speed. I think it just makes more sense for me to blockade the door so that whatever's happening is not getting into the artifacts and the people in that room.
Yeah. And in this game, it's a little more lenient in terms of action economy. For
Okay.
example, let's say in Pathfinder, opening or closing a door might be an interact action, which is a standard action. This game is like, nope, that's not even a movement action. That's almost a freebie as part of your movement.
So
So
draining my champagne did not take an action either.
draining your champagne did not take, even like, walking through the door, closing it behind you, the closing the door behind you doesn't take any additional action. Describe to me how you wanted to barricade the door again.
Well, if there is a table there,
Mhm.
I mean, hopefully something fairly heavy,
Mhm.
I would get and just try to use an impact of speed to shove it in front of the door to just
Sure.
physically be across it.
Yeah. So I would say that's all, we're superheroes, right? That is all within regular movement. So I would say you can certainly do all of that and still be in a position to use one of your standard actions if you wanted to. Put your space yourself someplace where you can take a standard action. Not saying you have to if that's not what your character would do. It's just that I know it's for people that are used to other system where it's moving your character from square to square and measuring things out. We don't have to be that I was going to say anal, but it tactical is a better
Precise.
word.
Yeah.
It's more about the storytelling
Tactically
and
anal.
tactically anal. Yeah. The system wants you to do heroic things and not spend your movement closing doors.
All right.
So yeah, so is there anything you would like to do with a standard action? And a standard action could be using a power, some traits, um, or anything in the action section of demiplane there. So dodging, escaping, etc.
Okay, yeah. So I guess it looks to me like that big guy that's been approached by the female vampire that came in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming I would recognize them as vampires.
Yeah,
I,
at this point they're baring their fangs and sucking
yeah,
the
right.
blood out of
Okay.
people's necks. So yeah.
Never seen such a creature.
there is a help teammate reaction. Could I do that for him to help him resist? I mean, I know it won't be retroactive to the attack that he did, but if he attacks again.
I would say on the next app, that's a great idea. Now, because you didn't sort of see him from the other room, you couldn't have done that. You can't do that retroactively, but you can certainly sense that he's still struggling. a little bit with something, and you can see her, beginning to kind of pour in a little bit. She's really doing the Bela Lugosi eyes at him. Like she's gonna start speaking in Transylvanian soon.
Uh, attack whichever one's closest.
Okay. Let's say it would be easier for you to attack the one that was um, uh, making eyes at Connor because she's not behind the counter.
That was kind of how I was envisioning it too. Okay. So, okay. Then I guess I will just dash over there and attack. I
Mhm.
have blazing fast fist, so it says I have an edge on all melee attacks.
Nice.
Okay. Well, that's nice. I got a marvel.
Excellent.
So I have a 4, a marvel, and a 6, which is a result of 20. Is it worth using the edge to reroll the 4?
Yes, because if you re-roll the 4 and get a 6 and you get a 6-1-6, that is an ultimate fantastic success, which means we'll figure that out when it happens.
Marvel of marvels.
So I'll reroll. Wait, did it? There we go. So reroll the 4. Yeah, so the first one went from a 4 to a 6.
Oh,
Whichever did this gaming system do.
so Jackie, the first roll you make as a character is, and I think the first roll, Jen, you make in Marvel is an ultimate fantastic success. A Marvel counts as a 6, and you are using your melee attack. So that's 6 times 2, which is 12, plus 4, which is your ability modifier. It's in that calculation there. So that's 16. You total all of that up, and then you multiply that by 2 to get 32.
Okay, and that is how it calculated the first roll
Right.
for Marvel 6.
Right. Perfect. Yeah,
It
because you
doesn't
only
have a
use the
32
central
on it.
die there. Now,
Okay.
here's the challenge, and here's where we need to figure out how the ultimate fantastic success might change this. Vampires, and you would know this, vampires have a sturdy power, and they have a sturdy power of 2, meaning that with your damage multiplier, unfortunately, that brings it down to a 0 in a normal circumstance. So in a normal circumstance, without rolling this, their sturdy factor is so high, it's not really possible for you to get through their sturdy without one of the things that vampires are known for being weak to. So here's what I'm thinking, and let me know if you think this works.
Yeah.
Maybe as like a one-time bonus, because it's the ultimate fantastic success. As you pushed that table back towards the door, right, to protect those people inside, you grabbed one of the legs and you shoved it. One of those broken legs is still in your hand.
Oh yeah, that would be an excellent weapon.
That sound good?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I hadn't been thinking in terms of,
Okay.
I definitely need to do vampire
Yep.
specific.
And we'll say your character wasn't even thinking. This was like almost an accident, because it is just luck.
Right.
Almost an accident that this was in your hand, and maybe at the last moment you realized the weapon gets stuck in them, maybe gets shattered, splintered, whatever. It's no longer an option for you right now, kind of a one-time use. But I'm going to say you do the full damage with that ultimate fantastic success,
Cool.
because that's kind of just ridiculous.
Yeah. So what happens to that vampire?
Still alive. So took
So
the 32.
which
Well, still,
which vampire
this
has
was
the
the
stake?
woman that was going after you,
Okay.
Connor.
So I'm assuming her concentration has been broken.
Um, yeah, I mean, one way or the other, she's likely not going to use her next action to do whatever the next ability was on you when she's got somebody threatening to, stake her worse this
Sure.
time. So,
Good.
so in Marvel, it's not quite like the Blade movies where, one stake and they burst into cinders. What using any type of wood in this game does is punches through the DR. So basically, if you are using a wooden stake, same thing with, I don't know, say a werewolf, using silver bullets that punches through the natural DR.
And prevents
But
them from healing too.
and prevents them from healing. Correct. Okay, so we've got Cullen, um, Cullen and Connor both going on 10. The first tiebreaker for initiative would be anyone who got a marvel on their initiative and went in a bonus round would get the tiebreaker, but that didn't apply to either one of you.
Right.
The second one, I believe, is just whoever has the highest initiative modifier.
Modifier? My initiative modifier is 1.
Same here.
Okay, which one of you
Technically
would like
mine
to
is-
go first?
Technically, mine is 1E.
All right, then we'll give it.
Connor can go first.
Sure, we'll give it to Connor.
He's
Okay.
got
Connor has
1E.
the edge.
1E counts
Ah.
as yes, 1E counts.
That's the tiebreaker right
I
there.
was
Yep.
I was actually going to suggest like who's got the highest middle red dice because mine was a 2. I figure yours was probably higher than that. Too.
Mine was a 3, but no, you go first.
Okay. Yeah, despite Spitfire's action, my action's pretty much going to be the same. You see him sort of grab his head, shake a little bit. It's obvious that there's something going on mentally with him. Gets really agitated. Falls down on hands and knees as if there's a strong like headache or something like that, and then you see his back arch, and then you hear the growling and the snarling and the ripping of both flesh and clothing, and you see fur and a horrible distension of his face into a muzzle. It's evident at this point what's going on. And if you thought that I was intimidating as a human being, the same, if not double the muscle mass of now has fur and teeth and claws and is now really, really pissed off and is going directly at the female vampire who is trying to put him under her thrall or whatever like that. So yeah, just no hold back, full attack.
Awesome. Yep. So you can easily get there in one movement, no problem. And then, yeah, how would you like to deal with this bloodsucker?
It's what, a direct melee attack, and I guess melee attacks just are standard melee attacks. There's not like, I know in D&D there's like claw bite type things, but like I'm not seeing anything that specifies, whether it's a claw.
Yeah,
or
so that's
bite
a great
attack
question. Certain power. So one, you can flavor it absolutely any way you want. It's not going to have an impact on the damage.
Mhm.
On a fantastic success, you will still do double damage. Some either weapons or powers will also give you some critical effect, but because you are just going at it with brute force and you're mighty, like you're not doing martial arts here. So you're just doubling, you're just doubling the damage on that. You're not getting like, I apply the stun condition or anything like that.
So in order to roll attack, I click on the melee ability score.
Yep.
Right under ability score. Okay.
Correct.
19.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay. Yep. And I should have told you the TN, but the target number is a 12. So you are
Okay.
easily right able. Like this this particular vampire is accustomed to attacking unaware women walking out of buildings on their cell phone, for example, um, and relying on their natural defenses to keep them safe. So certainly not accustomed to. So yeah, they're not natural fighters. They just use their supernatural ability. So 100% you hit. What did you get on the Marvel die?
Marvel die is a 3.
Okay.
So
Um,
6, 3, 5.
all right. So that would be typically you would, so that's 3 times 4 plus 5. But because
Wait,
of,
do I have an edge on any of this for attacking? Or
Is there an
evasion,
ability you used or just a normal attack? Yeah.
just scattered attack. So yeah, I don't
yeah,
think so. Okay.
yeah, I don't think you're not like berserking or anything yet.
No.
Nope.
Okay. So
Nope. I don't think you would.
19 with a 3 on the Marvel die.
Okay. So
It
that
lists
means,
damage as 17.
okay, but instead of, right, so that's straight damage, but they've got
DR.
DR. So instead of 3 times 4 plus 5, which would get you the 17, it's 3 times 2 plus 5, which gets you 11.
Okay.
Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, so you claw, or would you want to do claw or bite?
I figure honestly, I'm probably going to try and rip her throat out,
Okay, so you go
tackle her, and
in
then
with an attack that would easily have ripped a normal human's throat out, but in this case, your claws do meet some resistance, but they kind of dig in and they, you meet some resistance, but then you follow through, and the vampire is pretty horrified right now that she entered this room and two individuals just came out from nowhere and were able to cause so much, 43 points of damage total within seconds of her being in this room.
This doesn't feel right.
I think I have the wrong place. Cullen.
Okay. How far away is the guy who clawed me from me
He's
right
like
now?
right in front of you, but um, no attacks of opportunity in this game,
Mm-hmm.
anything like that.
Okay. So I have my gun.
Hmm.
I'm gonna double tap him in the head.
Nice. So give me a agility roll.
Yes, combat agility, right?
Hmm. Combat roll, right?
So I got a 3, a Marvel, and a 6 plus 3 was for a result of 18.
Oh, and what edge?
From my inspiration.
Oh,
Got it.
right.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Click re-roll, the re-roll button,
Yeah, right here.
right? Click that once. Now highlight the 3.
This one.
Yep.
Okay.
See how it moves ever so slightly, and then click re-roll. 4. Okay.
Okay.
Still, right. If that came out of 6,
Lower
I was
number,
gonna
yeah.
lose my shit that like 50% of the attacks in the first round of combat were ultimate fantastic successes. So instead of 6 times 4 plus 3, it's 6 times 2, 12 plus 3, 15. But because you rolled the Marvel there, times 2 equals 30.
Right.
And they have the bleeding condition, which is kind of funny for a
Right.
vampire.
For a vampire.
Maybe even more deadly for a vampire. All right. So this guy's been hit for 30. The other one's been hit for 43. They are both still up. Okay. That's the end of round 1. We go to the top of round 2. Alder.
And I
Yep.
gain 3 points of health back.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Anyone who has healing factor and has gotten wounded, regenerate that. So now that we're in a new round, everybody's reactions reset. I don't really think we used any last round, so
Yeah.
you've got your normal number of reactions, whether that's 1 or 2.
I just want to make sure I have an understanding of the scene. I and Cullen are behind the counter. There is a vampire directly in front of us that was attacking Cullen. And then more in the middle of the room, we've got Spitfire and Connor and another vampire.
And that's close to the front door.
Closer to the front door.
So, yeah, in the middle of the room, but a little farther away because it's by the front door.
And some other people, apparently,
Yeah, most of the other people we said were taking in the academia.
Yeah.
There was the woman who left. And I think there was one other person I said in here that was the one that was checking the weather. And they have run to the far end of the room.
Okay.
Probably babbling about wolves.
All right. Alder's going to stand up and to the vampire that is pretty much right in front of him, along with Cullen. He will say, "Hey, come on, let's reason together," and try to do a penance stare on this vampire, which may not be. We'll see how this works. This is a little experiment. It's an ego attack, so we'll do focus damage. So this may not go on top of the physical damage that we've done, but we'll see.
Yep, and it could paralyze them on a fantastic success.
Oh yeah, I'll make an ego attack.
And the TN there is 12.
Okay.
No, 11. Sorry, 11.
I got 6 Marvel, 4. Yeah. So 21. Wow.
That is a hit.
Yeah. Pretty good. Okay. So then the damage. All right. So let me make sure I have the ability there. The damage there would be 34. But let me see. The character makes an ego attack. If it's a success, the target takes focus damage. On a fantastic success, the target takes double damage and is paralyzed for 1 round.
Yes. So yeah, that was for you. That was a 6. So how much damage total? How much focus damage?
34.
Okay.
There's no DR to that, right?
Right. They do not have any DR. There could be, but they don't have any DR for focus like you do.
Yeah. So this attack is, kind of probably covers the diamond on his ring and looks says this, get the vampire's attention, looks him in the eye, her in the eye, I can't remember. And
this one was the guy.
Okay. And kind of makes him come face to face with his iniquity.
All right. So so this guy has just been shot at point blank range. And is hit expertly enough by that he is bleeding his own blood out all over the place. And where did you shoot him, Fish? What in the face?
Yeah, right in his eye.
Yeah. So even better. So he's covering one eye, and you see the blood kind of coming down between his clawed, pale fingers. And his other eye makes contact with yours, and you make a comment about his iniquity, and he just freezes in place. And you just hear him begin to slowly murmur, like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have, I'm sorry, and just totally frozen in place. Well done. You have a move action, should you choose to use it.
I'm gonna get back behind Cullen where I was.
where it's safe.
Sure. Okay. Yep. Easy enough. That takes us to the vampire who's going to sit there and do absolutely nothing. The other vampire, the female vampire, has
had a very bad day.
A very bad day, is going to go for Connor. She's going to try and grab you. This is going to be tough. But she's going to try and grab you.
Okay.
Okay. That is a 13 against your melee defense with a marvel on the die.
So do I roll? My melee
Well,
defense
what's
is
your
15.
defense? It should be, it's 15.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Nice.
so this is a fantastic failure. So she tries to grab you, and you can feel her just hungrily eyeing you up. I mean, it's a supernatural hunger, right? So you feel this. It's not just like a tummy rumbling. You especially can feel something supernatural happening.
Well, she's been hit for how many hit points at this
40
point?
43 hit points
I
she's
believe
been hit for.
vampires have to feed in order to like,
Yeah,
you know,
and
heal.
clearly that's what she's trying to do, but can't do it. But will get some sort of side benefit because of the fantastic failure. What I'm going to say is that she intertwines herself in a way as she's trying to grab you. She doesn't grab you. However, she's close enough in your range that any attempts to attack her, not from you, would have trouble because they're going to have to avoid hitting you.
Me.
Right. So
Okay.
she's just like, and even with like your fur hanging down, like you can barely, there are parts of her that are almost totally obscured. But yeah, that was not a great round for the
Now
vamps.
will I have trouble attacking
No,
her?
no,
Okay,
because
just any
you can
everybody else.
just,
Okay.
yeah, drool on her. Jen. So yeah, so Jen, you're right there. This vampire closed the distance, got under Connor's guard. So this monster that's in front of you. So like there's a big beefy arm right in front of you. Like you would really have to get under um to attack this one.
Okay. Can I still attack with the wooden implement since that
No, I
seems
think that was like a
pretty- Okay,
one-time
that was
kind
just a
of,
one-time
yeah,
thing.
for the ultimate fantastic success. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could look around me and try to see if there's anything else obvious, like a holy symbol or something that looks like holy water or
I think there's a fair chance somewhere in this room there's something, but it's your ability to spot it. So let's call it a TN 13 vigilance check as you scan the room for some kind of holy symbol.
As
All right, so I'm
someone who
going to
knows that room
click.
intimately, can I help her?
If she fails, you can absolutely give a help teammate on that.
Okay.
So I'm going to click the non-combat checks for this roll,
Yeah,
right?
that's fine. Yep.
Okay. All right, so it came out a 13,462.
Okay. That's what I said. So that's a success.
Okay, so that's
So
a success. So
yeah,
I find,
what do you have in mind? What do you think?
well,
Have
one of those
yeah.
little, like standalone crosses that, somebody's Catholic grandma had in their attic. I don't know.
It's like an old antique looking one.
Yeah, it's,
There's a
What
big
do you
sign that
think?
says discount. She rips the T down.
it's
Yeah.
bronze. It might say made in China on the bottom, but we're gonna overlook
Not
that.
in this shop, it wouldn't. No, no.
All right.
There's a
In this shop, it would
there's
be
a
imported from the Orient.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it might have a curse on it or something that I don't know about.
Yeah.
it's got a legend.
Okay, so
There's
where
a
are you
legend.
imagining this might be? Like behind the
On
counter in a
a
cabinet?
shelf,
Okay.
it's somewhere like up
Okay,
there,
yep. So
so
you
I
can
can
go
just
grab
grab
that,
it.
have plenty of, with your speed, plenty of time to run back. And yeah,
Mhm.
so give me so it says if they are touched by it. So yeah, just give me a regular melee attack. Effectively, it would be similar to a grab.
Okay. So should I try the damage reduction fancy roll that we discovered when Fish tried it?
In this case, no, because
This case,
this looks like a completely separate.
okay. So just use the regular melee roll.
Yeah, just use the regular melee
right.
roll, and then we'll use the ×3.
All right, I got a 466, which gives me a
Okay.
result of 20. It says that's
Wow.
a standard.
Yep. So that's a hit. So we take the 6.
Well, does it
Wait,
count with my edge?
wait. I was just gonna say. So which one were you attacking again? The one that
Well, the
Vance?
one that's
That's-
I pinned under
Okay.
Connor.
Okay. Yeah. So re-roll the Marvel. So you got 466.
Yeah,
Okay. So in
466.
this case, you are forced to re-roll the Marvel die.
Okay.
Kind of sucks because
This
that's
time
damage.
I recognize what's lit up with blue, so I will
Excellent.
re-roll only the Marvel die. There we go. And nah, I didn't get a Marvel. I got a 426. So the
Okay.
466.
Yeah. So unfortunately, yeah, that damage takes it from a 6 down to a 2, but you still hit. So that's good. So the 2 is ×3 because it says they instantly suffer the damage of a rank 3 attack roll that automatically succeeds. So because you touched it, automatically succeeds. So 2 × 3, so 6 points of damage on it, automatic. I'd say you can still apply your melee bonus there, for really
So you're saying that
pushing
I
it
have
in.
to take the re-roll, I don't get the first one.
Yeah, with trouble, that's trouble. You have to take the lower.
Oh, that was
Right.
trouble. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was
Trouble.
re-rolling for edge.
No. This was trouble.
Okay.
Like, yeah, you didn't.
That was the trouble. Okay. But I
Okay.
damaged her a little bit, right?
Yep. And I'll give you the +4 on that. So that is what, 10, right? 3, wait, 3 × 2, 6. Yeah. So that's 10 points of damage total. All right. So she's really looking quite bad now. We go to Connor.
So, so Spitfire just hit the one that was kind of like underneath me, but just kind of like glanced. So she was able to
Yeah,
hit.
I mean, it wasn't
Okay.
yeah, I mean, let's say there's a lot of moving around, there's
Mm-hmm.
definitely the impact of this cross on skin. You hear the sizzle, you smell burning flesh beneath you, but she wiggles out of the way a little bit. And it just wasn't put on her for very long.
Cool. I have no reason to change up my attack, so same thing. You know, I I don't have to look around for improvised weapons. I am so
You are a weapon.
rolling for melee,
Okay.
I
and
am an improvised weapon. I love it.
TN of
this
12.
time it was 16.
Okay, that's a hit.
So 5, 4, 2, so no Marvel die. And so doing what Fish did, so I've got to take 2 off of the damage modifier, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So I do that. Enter damage reduction, 1, 2, roll, and it says damage is then 17.
Okay. That is enough to take her down. Yeah. So how do you envision that happening?
Honestly, like I said, I was attacking her throat, and there's no reason for me to think that, eventually her head doesn't come off.
Yep. Yep. That's kind of what I had in mind as well. So,
Yeah.
so Jen, from Spitfire's perspective,
It's not a whole lot of finesse.
yeah,
It's brutality.
from Spitfire's perspective, like you were reaching in all of this bloody fur, trying to make contact, and there's a lot of squirming, and you're still, trying to reach and get the cross to make contact with skin and not fur. And then all of a sudden, out of this, awful game of bloody twister that's happening, you just see like a head roll out slowly and maybe touch the cross as it does, and it still burns even in death.
I just thought of something, and um um What's the cross made out of?
Bronze.
Okay.
Not made out of silver.
It's not silver.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were going for wood and it could have been used to like stab as a in
No,
burlap
I
wood.
wasn't worried about that. I was just like, she's trying to like get it in there and under the fur and stuff like that.
No,
If it was
no, no.
silver,
I
there would
think
be a chance, and like that would be
A silver like, holy weapon, a holy item would be like the all-purpose kill monster weapon.
Sure.
Yeah,
yeah,
nice.
like I said, I came in looking for, something to help control the rabid side of my character, or
Yep.
to alleviate a allergy to silver. So
All right, we go to Cullen last in the round.
Okay.
You've got a still paralyzed vampire in front of you because we haven't gotten back to
Yes.
Alder yet.
Do I happen to see holy water anywhere? No, you know what? Never mind. I'm
shop.
not even going to bother
No.
doing that. I'm not going to take that chance because I will have a better chance of hitting him with a
Mhm.
range. So I'm just going to double tap him again in the face. Okay, so the roll is a 14. So 1, 5, and a
Yep.
5.
So that's a hit. We've established the TN
Yep.
there is 12 for both melee and range.
Yep.
So
So
this would be
then,
one of those cases where you want to re-roll the 5 on the Marvel.
so I should re-roll the 5.
Yep, because even if you turn that 1 into a 6, doesn't change the level of success, but turning the 5 into a Marvel does,
Right.
because you can't roll, you won't get any lower. You always keep the higher result.
Re-roll. I got a 6.
Okay. Well, that improves your damage,
Yes.
right?
So
So that's
15.
great.
So it'll be Marvel times 2 plus 3, right?
Mhm. Correct.
So yeah. So that'll be 6 times 2. Right. But don't ever ask me to do math out loud. So
6 times 2 is
There with
12
you.
right.
plus what?
Plus 3.
Plus 3, so 15.
So it's not a fantastic success. So
Not
it's
a fantastic, so not doubled. So if I'm correct here, this one's taken 30 points plus another 15, so 45 points of health damage, and then the 34 points of focus damage,
yeah.
right?
yes.
So he is still, I mean, I'm gonna say he drops. I don't know how you could be paralyzed and then get shot in the face for a second time and still be standing. So I'm gonna say he absolutely drops to the ground. Still muttering about how sorry he is, even though he's got shot point blank again.
He's missing both eyes at this point.
All right.
And this is the only one that's still
This is
standing,
the
right?
only one that's standing,
Only one
right?
Standing.
that's still there's
That's
so
yeah.
the one has been
He's resting.
So
the
this
female vampire has been killed, and then this is the last man standing.
Yeah, in
right?
fact, probably from your perspective, you could probably only hear like another bang or bang bang in this case, and then you hear a slump, but you don't see any. But you hear especially you would hear his continued
Muttering.
mutter. Yeah, yeah. So he's still in business.
you also
Okay.
hear me shouting and cursing in a bunch of British obscenities. Like fuck, stupid, filthy, uncivilized, fucking blood-sucking cunts. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Messing up my fucking shop.
All right.
Yeah.
So you have a move action. You certainly don't have to take it. You're right over him.
If my move action allows me to grab a bottle of holy water
Yeah.
off of the counter, okay.
Yeah,
So
sure.
yes, I give the holy water since I know you're at the top of the initiative to the pastor and said, Reverend, would you please bless this fucker out of our misery?
Actually, what we'll say, only because if you had it in your hand, like why
Okay.
wouldn't you just pour it on him? We'll say you open the drawer and can gesture to like it's somewhere in there. Like maybe you're not taking your eye off of the enemy, but you can
Yes.
open up a nearby drawer to allow the pastor
Sure.
to pull from there.
Sure. Pastor, in there, find the holy water. So pour it on him, please now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll say you can find it there.
Perfect.
No longer
No longer
paralyzed,
paralyzed,
so
right?
he's capable of moving and
Yeah, rolling.
probably heard, you say, or Cullen say, "Oh, the holy water," and maybe from your perspective, that's what will come up out of his little penance party there. Um, so he begins to squirm a lot. So I would say, um, pouring it on him. I know the rules say melee, but if you wanted to do agility for a
Yeah.
pour or a splash, I would certainly allow that.
Yeah, I will definitely. I want to stay back from
Yep.
this thing, right? So I'm going to try to chuck it at him. Maybe
Okay.
if like try to shatter it on him. Maybe with the throw. I don't know. Is throwing it still an agility attack in this?
Yeah, but
Yes.
but I would say splashing it. It might
Yeah, whatever. I'm gonna.
whatever the rules in D&D for potions exploding don't in my
No,
mind
yeah,
apply to
yeah.
this world. Like it's in a thing. It's like in an inkwell type container,
All
so it
right,
wouldn't easily shatter.
but yeah, I will take him up on this offer.
Okay.
I'll grab that holy water and I will throw the holy water at the vampire on the ground.
Okay.
Agility. Um, and I'm going to use combat trickery here,
Okay.
which I get to use once per combat. It costs 5 focus, but once per battle when the
Mhm.
character is attacking target of equal or higher rank. Is the vampire rank 2 or higher?
He is.
Okay. I automatically roll a 1 on my Marvel die, and that die cannot be affected by trouble.
Awesome. So still make the roll
Yeah.
because you technically could still miss.
Yes, absolutely. Ooh, I got 645. So 615
615.
is really good.
All right, hold on. He's
Yeah.
still prone. Oh, but you don't
Yeah.
get it's only melee attacks that you get
The edge.
the edge on when it's prone.
Yeah.
Right.
You're hoping
Uh,
for another 616.
Why not? Let's
I'm
start
only
and end
one
the battle
away.
with the ultimate fantastic success.
So 615 I
Yep.
get here.
Okay, great. And then so 6 times 3, which is the automatic, is 18. He only had 15 left, so you needed a 5 or a higher on that roll to kill him. And by using that power or that trait, you do so. So with a sizzle and a scream, he finally goes quiet, and the room is once again returned to silence. And you probably just hear somebody from the back going like, "What the fuck was that?"
I grab an axe off the wall and I chop his head off just for safekeeping.
Sure.
Just it's like-
You
Yep.
would.
And what
Then I
happens?
walk
What?
into the back. Then I walk into the back of the room.
Yep.
I walk out of the room for a minute, and I walk back in with a tray and 4 glasses on it, four rock glasses on it, and a bottle of very old looking bourbon. And I sit it down. I don't say anything to anybody. I just sit it down on the table. I pour 4 glasses. I hand each person a glass. Drink.
Well, I'm going to help Connor back, slap him on the back, tell him, good job, Wolf Boy.
Yeah, at this point, I'm kind of just trying to compose myself. This isn't something that happens typically, first time I meet new people or anything like that. So uh, I'm, once it's obvious there's no more vampires and people are calming down, there's definitely like still a there's definitely still a, you know, adrenaline rush, uh, hackling and things like that. But I sort of turn back to the corner wherever the remnants of, you know, my coat, my backpack, whatever I had with me. And as I'm turning back there, I start to stand a little bit back more up, and the process reverses itself. Standard Hulk, so I'm still wearing my jeans, but I'm shirtless.
Much easier to drink bourbon that way.
Yeah.
There's a tiny bit of holy water left in the vial. There's probably a little bit of like blood spatter on my nice suit. I'm gonna try to get it out.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. And I think with that, looking at the time, we will end it there. We will pick up next time with this. And of course, as you're downing the drinks and cleaning up and returning to human form and whatnot, you can hear in the distance sirens wailing, maybe more screaming happening. So whatever is happening here sounds like it's happening all over Boston. So refreshed with your drink, we will figure out what your next steps are next time we play.